wanted to make this video because I haven't seen a lot for these. The Sodastream Art. I haven't really seen a breakdown video of these, or at least how to get to the point that I'm at to fix these. And sorry about the camera, it's just going to autofocus. But I haven't seen a lot of breakdown videos on how to get into these to fix the particular issue that I'm having, which is fairly common. It seems like I've been reading around online. I've seen lots of people who've ended up sending their systems in to be fixed, so to speak, which honestly is just, when you run into the issue that I did, that it seems like a lot of people are, is just to replace this gasket. Now, this gasket is what fits around your cylinder when it pushes it up. When you actuate the system, the air comes into this area in the center. It kind of looks like a tire, but it actually will push out this system and come out these little holes in the side. Let's see if we can, yeah, like that one right there, and the other one on the other side right there. That's where your air is being fed from, and that is being done in this little area right here. Now, if I lift this up, let's see there's a little insert there. That is where this little gasket goes in. Nice and tight in there. So, sits like that. Now, getting to this point where you can take that gasket out is actually fairly difficult. And I wanted to make this video so that nobody else would have to go through the pain that I did in trial and error trying to figure out what was wrong with this thing. So, I've had this thing about 5 months, which is not that long, and hadn't really had any issues with it until now. And this issue seemed pretty significant. When I went to charge it full of air, or at least a bottle full of air, it the air wanted to escape out the front right here, and after I took the back part, realized it was coming out the back. Now, with all the covers on, I couldn't really see what was going on. God, I hate this autofocus so much. We'll just have to make do with it. Now, I tried to figure out what was going on. First, I took it apart. I actually went much further than it is right now. I took this thing really apart the second time around. The first time, I just went as far as taking out the cylinder in the bottle. And keep in mind, this is a high-pressure system. And if you're not comfortable putting pressure in something that you have messed with, I mean, the manufacturer themselves, I'm sure they test it and they check for all kinds of issues. But just keep in mind that there's a lot of pressure going through this. And so if you mess around with your system yourself, you run the risk of doing something that could be detrimental to it working safely. You essentially stand in front of this thing when you push high pressure through it. You put yourself in kind of a situation if you decide to play around with it, especially with your eyes. So I would say if go through the process that I did, do what I did, wear safety glasses. You never know what can happen. The smallest little grain of anything being shot really fast under high pressure can do a lot more damage than you would think. So just be careful, and if you have any doubts whatsoever, just don't do this. Take it to somebody who might be a little more familiar, or at least be a little more handy, or I guess send it back and have Sodastream themselves do this fix. But I wanted to do this so that anybody who would want to do this could potentially see how to do it. So anyway, back to this. To get underneath this little spoon here, which is essentially what your little knob operates, there's a few things you have to do first. You need to get this cover off. Now, to get this cover off, you have to remove this handle. This handle is secured with a torque screw. Now, this torque screw takes a lot of effort to get out. It's very tight. So you'll need a special tool. I had it over here. I'm not quite sure where it went. It was here. Anyway, you need a torque bit. It'll be a good size. I believe mine is a T20 is what I ended up having to use. T20s are fairly common too. You can get them on Amazon and stuff like that for like a couple bucks, even less than that. You can go anywhere and get them. So you need to take that out. When you do, there's this little tension spring. Now this sits on this setup for the handle, and you'll see it goes in this long bit. You kind of want to distinguish the two. There's one that sits against the whole assembly, and then this one that kind of sits inward of this little tension spring. This sits in a little channel right here, if you can see, and then this little one that sits on the the circumference of it. There's a little hole up here that it'll go in. It takes a little wiggling, maybe a little, not too much stretching to get it in, but it goes in and it sits like that, and it'll hold itself in place once you do that. And then you'll definitely need to take out, I almost said may, you definitely need to take this out. It's a cover for that, and that goes in a certain way as well. This long bit right here sits kind of like so. I mean, it sits in just like that. The first time you take it out, it might take a little force. I mean, like even now, it wants to give me a little fight. But you want to get that out. That's because this cover has this little hook right here. And it's almost kind of made to come out this way, but because of this little hook right here, you kind of have to come out and then kind of angle it up and back and kind of get it around that. There are 4 tabs. This one, that one, and then that one. You want to use a pry tool like this to kind of bend them outward as such, like that, to get them over the little squares that want to lock into these little bits right here. And you'll see them once they're out, they'll just sit on top of these little bits right there. Let me see if I can actually see them. They're kind of inset. I don't know how well you can see them, but like here and there, you can kind of see that one right there. You want to see those sitting underneath those tabs, not in them. Once you do that, it takes a little bit of force. I found that the best way is, let me see if I can kind of simulate it here for you. Yeah, I put my thumb right here, and I kind of push it out this way. So I put a little force as I'm doing all these tabs to get it out, and eventually you'll get kind of like a 1/2 inch gap. Once you get there, you'll feel it kind of give, or you'll see that it's kind of got that space, and it'll wiggle more. You can kind of get it free. I sort of had to stick my pry tool in the top too, and kind of wiggle it in the top. There's a little gap here, this little gap right here that you'll see. So I kind of had to do it like that and kind of help it pry off the top. Once you get that front cover off, you're pretty much game. This little cover goes right here, and it's just one tab that you need to lift and pull it right out. It'll slide right out. And once you do that, this, you can kind of pop it up, or you need to kind of get in here, because what you want to get to is the 4 screws that hold this little assembly in here that the gasket sits in. And you'll see them, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And before you can really do that, you have to undo this screw that sits in this little groove right here, so that you can actually freely pull that up and do that. And it's just a tiny little screw that you need to undo. Also, just keep in mind, this is what actuates the tank, and it sits right in the top of this little assembly, which I actually did not put in before I put it all in, but that's okay. I'll be able to get that in no problem. But yeah, make sure this is in. It sits right into the top of this little assembly right here. It kind of looks like a button sitting in the top. Make sure that goes back in. That's very important, or nothing will work. Once you get that open, you'll see this sitting kind of in there, like such. Kind of in there. I didn't even really put that in. Like that. So you want to pull that out, and you might need to use a little bit of like a little bit of a hook tool or something like that. Now, at first glance, I didn't think there was really anything wrong with this. I actually pulled it out and put it back in and tried using it again. Like, maybe it was something else, or maybe I fixed it, maybe something was loose. Still did the same issue. Upon further inspection, I believe it's this side. No, this one for sure. Look right there. Let's see if I can get it just right. There's a little bit of a tear right here. Now that is allowing air to escape out of the sealed setup for the bottle, and it's not allowing it to travel efficiently into the system to pressurize your bottle. So this gasket is essentially dead. It needs to be replaced. You can get them on Amazon for like 24 bucks for a pack of 5, which is a little ridiculous. I've seen them on AliExpress, so if you want to wait 2-3 months to get your gasket, yeah, I guess you could do that. I'm sure there's cheaper options out there, eBay and stuff like that, but Amazon was the quickest. I use this thing every day. I wanted to get it back up, so I figured, hey, like I can get 5 for 24 bucks, whatever, you know, to have it back up in a day because of something like this failed. But yeah, again, I wanted to do this. I hadn't seen really very many breakdown videos to get to this part, which I would say probably like 90% of the posts of issues with these and other systems have been, from what they've described, has definitely been this, failing. So this way, there's at least something out there for people to follow, or at least have an idea of what they need to do to get into this. Like I said, one, it's a little difficult. You kind of need some special tools, at least just the torque bit. Other than that, you can use a butter knife to just pry stuff off. Be careful, it is plastic. There's certain things that you can damage, and then essentially, dud your system or make it look a little ugly, which in my, opinion would not totally kill the system for me. The other thing too is take pictures as you take things apart, so you see exactly how they need to go back together. This little handle assembly and like the spring and everything, that's a good example, and especially like this. Like if I were to take a picture of that little pressurization assembly, I'd realize, oh, that little button's missing. That needs to go back in. That's my little trick. And then finally, just be careful. Like I said, there's a lot of pressure running these things. My wife already hurt herself with this, using it once, and she took the ball out too quick, and it shot out like a rocket, hit her in the stomach, and she was fine. But yeah. Anyway, I gotta go. But yeah, good luck to you. And if there's any questions, just comment, and I'll do my best to help. Thanks.